I'd love to get started with a little bit of background about Classroom to Career here at the Texas Restaurant Foundation. This is our second annual session of the Classroom to Career program. This was all started in the midst of COVID. We wanted to bring our great career partners together with y'all and do a virtual program speaking to our students about different career opportunities within the hospitality industry. So this year you've already heard from our partners at Marriott International. Today you'll hear from Tommy Van Wolf with Raising Cane's, and we'll have many more this year. I will put in a link to our YouTube channel with our playlist so you can see all of the ones we've recorded this year and last year and more to come. Always check out our texasprostart.com website for updates on all things ProStart, including our Classroom to Career schedule. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us today, Tommy. We're so excited to hear about your background in the hospitality industry and all things Raising Cane's, because we know we love Raising Cane's here at the Texas Restaurant Association.
Well, that's awesome. And we love the Texas Restaurant Association and the foundation and ProStart and everything. So it's a good relationship. So Haley, thumbs up. You can hear me okay? All that works? Fantastic. Well, hey, everybody, thanks for joining. I again apologize for the delay with the technology. But hey, that's kind of the hospitality industry, right? You have a plan going into the day and something changes, and it's how well you have to pivot and adjust. It's a term I've kind of called figure out ability. For the educators on the call, I apologize. That's probably not a word. But the ability to pivot and figure out things is obviously always critically important in what we do and how we operate every day in the business. So again, thanks for the time on the call. Excited to chat with you guys further and excited to kind of share what we're about as an organization, and also kind of what's brought me from the classroom as a student now to a career in the restaurant business. So I'll briefly kind of go through my journey, what got me here. I also want to briefly tell you about our organization, what brought us along as well. And then we do have time at the end to answer some questions. Literally nothing's off limits. I'll be more than happy to ask those as well. So again, greetings. And on behalf of Raising Cane's, we love and really, truly appreciate the partnership with Texas Restaurant Association. Myself, I've been involved with it and really come alongside TRA for the better part of about 25 years. My whole hospitality career, I got exposed to it at a young age and still enjoy the relationship today with it. So let's kind of talk about where we are today. So I was sitting in a seat like you guys are in a high school. I was actually 15 years old when my hospitality career started. That was 25 years ago. I literally, when I was in high school, my goal in life was to go serve in the Air Force, do my time, and then go fly commercial. That was the goal. I was 15 years old. I grew up in Temple, Texas, Central Texas, go Wildcats. And I remember literally going to my mom and saying, hey, let's talk about this pickup that I'm going to get when I turn 16. And she looks at me, she's like, what do you mean, what pickup? I was like, well, the one you're going to buy me, not knowing or realizing how things were and the investments it would cost and that sort of thing. She said, well, you need to get a job and you got to do something about it. So I literally hopped the fence of our apartment complex and walked along I-35 into a shopping center. And I saw Cavender's Boot City on one side and a restaurant called Las Casas Restaurant and Patio on the other side. And I thought, okay, 15 years old, do I want to go sell boots or do I want to go sell tacos? I was like, man, tacos sound like more fun, right? So I walked in and got a job as a busboy. I did that, was a busboy, a dishwasher, cooked, scrubbed floors, toilets, whatever was needed to do that. Had an interesting time there because worked for a single restaurateur in one market in Temple and utilized the resources and connection with TRA quite a bit at that time. Had no idea that decision in that shopping center in Temple would change my life the way that it has for the positive. And that's where my hospitality journey began. I didn't have any experience in a restaurant or any hospitality organization. I had no schooling to prepare me for it. Literally just figured out, hey, let's go figure it out. So I did that, and I was a busboy, dishwasher, cook, waited tables, did caterings, did deliveries, did literally whatever the business needed me to do, and then had a chance to get promoted to become a manager at age 17, which was a little awkward because, as you guys know, you can't serve alcohol till age 18. I didn't break any law and serve alcohol, to be clear, but I couldn't serve it as the manager of the restaurant. So it's an interesting journey how that kind of came to be. When I graduated high school, my plan was to then go work in Houston and attend the Conrad Hilton College of Hotel and Restaurant Management. So I did that, got accepted, went down there, toured it, thought it was the coolest thing in the world, had a job lined up. And my boss to me came back and said, "Hey man, why don't you stay here with me? We'll promote you to general manager." And I was 19 at the time, and had a plan to go do that, but ended up sticking around locally in Temple. Went to school, actually stayed in Temple, to junior college, everything there in Temple, Central Texas, and stuck around that until age 21. At age 21, I thought, hey, I want to go work for this company called Brinker. Great organization at that time. I want to say they had 7 to 9 brands, close to 2,000 restaurants, and joined the On the Border group, and joined as an assistant manager, bar manager, grew, become a kitchen manager, service manager, and about a year in, became a GM, and did that for about 5.5 years. And then a buddy of mine said, "Hey, I think you'd really like this chicken place. It's kind of cool. It kind of fits what you are and who you are." And so came on to Cane's in 2009. In 2009, we had 64 restaurants. We had 4 in the great state of Texas. As I sit here today with you, we have almost 700 restaurants in 39 states and 5 countries. We have almost 200 restaurants in the great state of Texas. So it's been an incredible journey. I joined as a general manager. I ran a restaurant in Plano, was when I started. It was the 5th restaurant in Texas, the 3rd in DFW. And then at the time, did that for a little while, then got promoted to an area director. I managed about 10 to 20 restaurants, depending on the time, different parts of the country, all over Texas, DFW, San Antonio, Waco, Houston, Austin, El Paso, did North Louisiana, did Kansas City, St. Louis, wherever the business needed me to. Did that for about 6 years, and then became a regional vice president and had the state of Texas and state of California. Got a chance to do that. It was awesome. It was awesome. Grew that from about collectively 60 restaurants between the two to about 120, 130. So that was a blast. And then been in my current role for about four years or so now. My current role today, I oversee the company-owned operating restaurants across the south part of the country. That is New Mexico through Alabama up to Oklahoma. It's about 300 restaurants, the bulk of them being in Louisiana and in Texas. So it's been an incredible journey for me. You know, a few key things I learned along the way. You can't take no for an answer. You got to do whatever it takes and have a whatever it takes attitude to be successful in the hospitality business. Again, I used the term earlier, you got to kind of have figure out ability. You know, if you look at the way my career has grown, the way our company has grown, the way the industry has grown, it takes people with a good head on their shoulders, with good work ethic, that will get people to follow them into a fire, to really accomplish things they never thought possible for themselves, for their organizations, for their families, et cetera. So it's been an incredible journey for me. That was not the initial goal. You know, when we stood there in elementary school and did career day, you have teachers and doctors and lawyers and policemen and women and that sort of thing. Not a lot of folks say, "Hey, I want to go in the restaurant business," but it's very much a real opportunity. It's very much a real job and a real journey as well for many of us. And that kind of takes me to the Cane's side of things. Our company opened our first restaurant in August of 1996. It opened outside of the gates of LSU, and it opened long before these, you know, niche brands that just did one or two things well were really as a part of the space as they are today. Our story is pretty unique and it's real. Our founder, Todd Graves, had a story and had a goal to start a company that did one thing and did it better than anybody else: serve quality chicken finger meals. That's what we call our one love. And so back in the mid 90s, Todd actually put together a business plan, and him and his buddy put it together, and actually got the worst grade in the business class at LSU at the time. Thankfully, Todd's incredibly driven. It's what drives our success today. And he did not take no for an answer. He actually took his business plan and he went to all the banks and all the lenders in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And they all told him two things. They said, one, man, you're nuts to start a restaurant that only serves chicken fingers. And you're even crazier to think I'm gonna give you money for it. And so he took his show on the road. He actually went to Los Angeles and El Segundo and worked at a Chevron refinery as a Boilermaker, working long days, incredibly difficult climate. As you probably heard, the life of a Boilermaker is not glorious, but it was good money. And then actually heard from a buddy that you can actually go salmon fish, longer hours, harder job, and make more money. And so Todd actually hitchhiked to Alaska and slept on a frozen tundra and literally worked for a salmon boat fisherman, and literally worked a salmon season fishing salmon, and incredibly long days, very difficult climate, boats kind of jockeying for a spot, and was able to put together some cash and get a small loan and open the first Raising Cane's in 1996. That restaurant wasn't supposed to work outside of the gates of LSU in our hometown of Baton Rouge. We then expanded in Baton Rouge. We then grew to other parts of Louisiana, into Mississippi, into Texas with our first restaurant in Louisville. And it's now worked time and time again. As you heard the stats, almost 700 restaurants, 39 states, 5 countries. It's been incredible. But much like my story, the Cane story has provided opportunities for so many people that we never thought possible. I sit here in our restaurant support office in Plano. We employ about 500 people here. We have 3 regional offices throughout the country and other states and cities as well. And the unique thing about us as an organization, we never took no for an answer. We've always worked to do things the right way, regardless of the investment of time or the investment of resources. We have been through, over the last 3 years, a pandemic together. We've been through arguably the most challenging staffing environment we've ever seen in the hospitality business. We're now also faced with one of the most challenging inflationary periods of the hospitality business has seen in my lifetime as well. So, throughout all that, we've made it through even stronger. We've weathered those things I just mentioned. We've weathered natural disasters together and all those things. But we have a unique group of people that literally have a whatever it takes mentality. They will put in the hours, they will put in the time, and we try to keep it fun. The unique thing about it is accountability is very much a thing in life. Accountability is very much the way of life, whether you're playing sports on a field, you're working in an office, or you're working in the restaurant. Accountability, it exists. It exists in society, but we also like to do it with a good balance of empathy and a good balance of have fun and a good balance of doing the right thing for our people. And so our culture is that rooted in something of true appreciation for the communities we serve, appreciation for the people we work with, appreciation for the vendors, the suppliers, everybody we work with, and they realize that we need to continue to pay it forward, to do the right thing by people, and ultimately create incredible opportunities for the communities we serve, incredible opportunities for the people that we work with. And along the way, we've been able to do a lot of unique and cool things to take care of our people throughout those substantial things I mentioned earlier. We've also been able to do a lot of cool and unique things for our communities. One of the most unique things we do for our people is our restaurant partner program. So our restaurant partner program is where you can run a restaurant, sleep at home every night, be embedded in your community, and literally make a 6-figure income. We literally guarantee all of our restaurant partners a minimum of 6-figure income every year annually. We also have a restaurant partner program that will take you from year 1 through year 15 and create $1 million of net worth, not including your salary. So it is a best-in-class restaurant partner program that is driven to really incentivize those folks that want to join the restaurant business, that want to grow, want to work hard and have fun and do it the right way. And the reason I mention that, the reason I throw those stats out is you likely could be in a situation in your life right now, you're trying to figure out, hey, what does that path look like? Is it a traditional path? Is it a non-traditional path? Is it a hospitality? Is it to something else? But one thing I will tell you is that there is a misconception about our industry, whether you're working in restaurants, hotels, resorts, cruise ships, whatever it is you're doing, there's a misconception of this is what we're going to do until we get that real job, right? I had that myself as a high school kid at 15, you know, and I quickly got the bug. It quickly bit me, and I was quickly just deeply entrenched in the restaurant business. And it provides a great opportunity for myself and so many of those around us. And again, I use the restaurant partner example as one of many that we offer as one of the many employers in the hospitality space. And so as you're thinking about that, do something you love, and work will never be, it'll never be a work day. I always tell people, do what you love and love what you do. You know, yes, we serve quality chicken finger meals. Yes, I think our buildings are great and our company's great and all the things we do are great. But the thing that's made us successful is we've created a culture, we've created people that are able to unite a common group of individuals with either common or uncommon backgrounds, different walks of life, different experiences in life, and brought them together to accomplish things they never thought possible. And whether it's the company philosophy or whether it's the philosophy of local leaders, whatever the case may be, it's been a truly unique experience for us and for so many others out there. And I just can't tell you enough about, I literally was in your seat 25 years ago, maybe 26, 27. And I literally had no idea that this was going to take me where it was. I had no idea this company I joined 13 years ago was going to turn into what it has. I had no idea the Texas Restaurant Association was going to be able to do is all the good they've done for the education space and for the restaurant space, for independent and chain restaurateurs and bars and tourism and so many things that play in. But one thing I will tell you is that while I mentioned the successes and I mentioned some of the obstacles and I mentioned other things over the years we've faced, is that there's a tremendous amount of real estate out there to build restaurants or hotels. There's a tremendous amount of ways to develop and grow. You can borrow money to do things and that, but the people supply is the one thing that will either hinder your growth, accelerate your growth, or potentially slow you down. And when I say people supply, it's important because, again, a lot of folks don't set out to do this for their real gig long term. But in markets where we have an incredible bench of talent, in markets where we're able to attract some best in class leaders, we do exceptional things. In markets where it's maybe harder to recruit or the people supply is difficult, I go back a year ago when we faced a very unique staffing challenge throughout the country, it made it hard. And there's been times in our history that we've done exceptional things, and there's been time we've been hindered, but the people supply has typically been the biggest thing that will help us, hurt us, slow us down, et cetera. It's also what's going to drive results, because whenever you have manpower or people issue or concerns, typically the operations concerns, the sales concerns, the financial concerns will follow as well. So reason I say that is ProStart, TRA, the Texas Restaurant Foundation, it's incredibly an important vehicle for us as an organization, and should be everybody in the hospitality space, to get a chance to connect with you guys who are growing your careers, deciding what that next step looks like, because it very, very may likely be right at your back door. It very may likely be at your local Raising Cane's or at your local restaurant, hotel, et cetera, throughout Texas. They can provide an incredible opportunity and equip you with the resources and tools you need to be successful. And again, that can be a traditional space where you go through to a next step into a junior college or a four-year college, or continue to go that path, or whether it's preparing yourself to go to work straight after you get out of high school, maybe while you're in high school. I had to put myself through school. I had to take on, life and bills earlier than expected, earlier than maybe some of my peer group and my friends. But it taught me a lot. And it taught me a lot, the value of hard work, the value of leading people the right way, the value of always doing the right thing. While it may not be popular and it may not be easy, it will pay dividends down the road as well. So that's just a quick overview, Haley, just kind of on my story, on my journey, as well as Raising Cane's, what we've done, where we've gotten to together. Happy to expand if you'd like me to on anything I mentioned. Also happy to take any questions that anybody has. Nothing's off limits. I'll literally answer anything.
Of course, I do have a few questions for you, Tommy. What sets Raising Cane's apart from other restaurants as an employer?
Good question. So, I think let me answer the traditional and non-traditional. So the traditional is going to be, hey, how much I'm going to make? How much can I grow my career? What are the benefits like? So we do offer a best-in-class benefits package, whether it be the dollars and cents you get on your paycheck, every other week, whether it's a bonus incentive, whether it is, traditional benefits with health, vision, dental, medical, all those things that go along. But we believe in taking it a step further. So not just taking it a step further with our compensation plans, what we pay people, but also taking it further with our complete package of paid time off and tuition reimbursement. So if you join us, we offer a tuition reimbursement program that will help put you through and take you through school together, and not just reimburse you, but also we have programs through LSU, through SMU, through some very large major schools that exist. So those are the unique things, or those are the things that are traditional. The unique things are really the growth opportunities, I feel like, and the culture and the things that are different. So I sit here in front of you at our restaurant support office, or a corporate office is what people would call. I'm wearing jeans and a polo shirt. So as silly as that seems, I don't own a lot of fancy clothes. Thankfully, the church I go to is pretty relaxed too. So this is about as dressed up as I get. So it's simple, but there's no suit and tie here. I wear the same thing that our managers in our restaurants wear and that we're doing every day. So I think that's something unique as well. We're also going to challenge you at times, but we're also going to reward you handsomely with career opportunities. In our restaurants, we promoted over 1,000 people to managers last year. So we took 1,000 people have been promoted internally into management just over the last year. That's 1 year. But we have those stories all over the country. A lot of our Texas restaurants specifically have a lot of stories of internal growth of folks that maybe joined as a fry cook or a cashier or a shift manager and have grown their career exponentially. So I can't guarantee anybody will get promoted, but I can guarantee there will be ample opportunity for people to grow as much as you're comfortable with, whether it's here in Texas or throughout the country. There's an incredible amount of opportunity that exists. And we do things the right way. And I'm not saying others don't, but we're privately held. We're not owned by any sort of investment group or any sort of shareholders. And it's awesome. And it allows us to do some really, really cool and unique things when maybe it's not the easy or popular thing to do.
That's awesome. And I know you touch a little bit on challenges within the industry, but what, in your opinion, is the biggest challenge you faced during your career?
We don't have time for that, man. Where do I start? I think it's a couple different things, right? It's some of those turning points that I've faced, or that the business has faced. It's deciding how much do we go all in on something or double down on something. But I think if you look at a certain category thing, it's typically when there's been manpower, people, or leader type issues we've had to navigate, and it's maybe making a tough decision on somebody's employment. Or maybe it's making a tough decision on somebody's lack of employment, whatever the case may be. So, there's several times, I look at some of the natural disasters we've had to battle through as a company. So I look at, when Hurricane Harvey hit Texas, that was tough. At the time between Texas and Louisiana Gulf Coast, we had about 60 restaurants impacted, some that were flooded, some that were down for days. That was not a lot of fun, but the resiliency that came out of it, the fact that we were able to get groceries in our restaurants to get open faster than anybody else, that was pretty cool, to be honest, to honestly just feed first responders to get back open. We had a hurricane that hit South Louisiana that took out our distribution center in New Orleans. They had no power. So we literally self-distributed product out of a warehouse we rented in Baton Rouge. We rented forklifts, we rented 9 refrigerator trucks, and we literally ran our own groceries for like 10 days. And that was insane. That was not fun. But man, it taught us a lot. So there's a lot of those, specific events, but I would say broadly, it's whenever we haven't had the leadership, the manpower, the people piece right. That's been some of the most difficult times. You look back broadly to this time last year, Q4 of 21 was arguably one of the most difficult staffing challenges for everybody. It was who can pay more, and it's those sorts of things. And it was a mentality shift of, when somebody had a tough day, they didn't come back the next day and work twice as hard. They went somewhere else. But I think at the core of that, I think it's always treating people the right way, and it's always remember where you came from type mentality. So, for me, I remember what it felt like as a crew member, which is what we call our frontline team members, or an assistant manager. I remember what it felt like when the GM or the area director or the regional vice president walked in, how that felt. And I've never wanted people to feel that way. And so I think it's important you remember where you came from, remember who you are, and make people a priority. And if you do that and you treat them right, you have an honest conversation, you dedicate the time to them, man, anything's possible.
Definitely. And you talked about some valleys you experienced within your career. Let's talk about your peak. What would you say your favorite part of working for Raising Cane's is?
getting to talk about it, looking back and sharing some of the stories. I know it seems cheesy, but like, looking back at some of the most difficult times we had together and we overcame, it makes me happy. Getting our teams together makes me happy. Seeing others succeed makes me happy. There's a gentleman that runs our restaurant in Pflugerville, actually, Ulysses. And I remember when he joined us right out of high school as a college student at UTA in Arlington. And I remember meeting him as a freshman in college, just looking to make some cash and get through college. And I look at him now as a father and as a husband and as a homeowner, and all the things he's been able to accomplish that he never thought possible for his family. That makes me happy. You can sit here and read financial statements and count restaurants and feel good about yourself, but it all goes back to the people's stories and some of the journeys they've had. And, those folks that joined us 5 years ago, 10 years ago, thinking this was just a part-time gig, and now they're doing something truly special. I think also the amount of impact we're able to make in the community. We give back millions and millions of dollars a year to local organizations, large organizations, and just can do a lot of good. So it makes me happy to see some of that. And it's been awesome to watch.
I think a lot of people consider our industry as something that is maybe their first time job, a part-time job, but nothing that they see long-term. We kind of know why you chose to start your career in the industry. You wanted that pickup truck, like you mentioned, but why did you choose to stay in the hospitality industry? Why didn't you change to another industry, maybe after college or after high school?
That's a good question. I think a lot of us, like myself, come into our industry because of supply and demand. There's the only place would hire me, right? And I could make $5 an hour, no, $5.15, big money. But it was awesome, right? And so we come to a supply and demand, it fills a need we currently have, and then maybe that need changes or pivot. So, for me, why I stuck with it. So I've had a job for 25 years. Well, I've only worked 3 places, and I told you all 3. I spent half my career here, and I plan to spend the rest of my career here, unless there's a different plan. But I don't plan to do anything else. I think that the reason I stuck with it is that I think that if you're loyal, loyalty is typically rewarded in a lot of different ways. And I think if you're loyal in 2022, it goes a lot longer. So, some of us can maybe remember our parents, our grandparents that stuck with that same job for 20, 30, 40 years. Unfortunately, those days are behind us. And unfortunately, as people start to bounce, they have a hard time making tracks to somewhere. But I believe in going all in. So whether it's something I do at work, something I do at home, in my community, my church, whatever, man, I'm not doing it halfway. I'm going all in because I know the benefit that's going to be there for us. I also know that the runway or the path in the hospitality business is truly, truly limitless. We have folks that sit in this building that work on computers all day in IT, or they're doing payroll, or they're doing accounting, or they're doing whatever traditional maybe business sense. But they worked in a restaurant one day and they stuck with the company doing something different. So the stuff that exists the traditional way through the restaurant path, or the non-traditional way, maybe in the office or something else, it's pretty awesome. And so I think the path forward is enormous for lots of people, but they got to give it a shot and they got to stick with it. Too often I see people, they get in, they have a hard day or a hard month or a hard quarter, and they just bounce. And that bounce factor, man, it just got nuts over the last few years, over the last year specifically. But if you stick with it, there's typically a handsome reward out there, whether it be compensation, promotion, et cetera.
Of course, I think that's the best part about our industry is there's a place for everybody, no matter what their interest is, and they can get started early, unlike a lot of other industries. Let's end with this question. What advice would you give to our ProStart students starting their careers in the hospitality industry today?
Well, some of what I said, stick with it. I think that's one thing. The hospitality business is not easy. So throughout, hopefully what you heard us say, I never said it was easy, because it hasn't. There's been some tough days, there's been some fun days, there's been some tough days. Met my wife in the business, met some of my dearest, closest friends in the business. And I think that while it's not easy, it's incredibly rewarding. It's also fun. And I think that it sounds basic. People that say it's cool or fun typically aren't. That makes sense. Like, I was not cool in high school. I'd tell you that right now. But if I was, but so, it's different. So we don't say, oh, it's cool or it's fun. Like, we don't advertise it, but it's literally hanging out with people you enjoy, working towards a common goal. But, in terms of specific advice, I would stick with it. I wouldn't, give up when things get tough, because they're going to get tough. I can guarantee you now, you heard me mention the 3 big things we faced over the last couple of years. There's probably something else coming. We just don't know what it is. I think I'll use this again, the ability to figure out things figure out ability, I think is incredibly important. It's like when something breaks and you've lost the instruction manual, you really get to kind of figure it out. And maybe figuring out a YouTube video, maybe figuring out going online and Googling it. I have no idea, but you got to be able to figure out the situation. Just like this day to day, I had a plan today of have these big, pretty screens up and this camera, all this stuff worked. It didn't work. So now I'm sitting with a computer sitting on top of a Tupperware piece. Hope you can't tell, but you got to figure it out. You got to figure it out on the fly, right? Because today's lunch shift, you probably have X amount of crew members staff. You expect to do X amount of volume and something blows up. A bus shows up you didn't expect. It starts raining outside. How do you pivot? How do you adjust based on that shift, based on that day? You've got to have that. And the last thing I'll leave you with is that oftentimes in life, we look at intellectual intelligence, IQ, what does that look like? And I think that's very important. But I think emotional intelligence is equally, if not more important when you're leading people. And that goes beyond the hospitality space. But I look at some of the most successful leaders at our company or others in the hospitality space, those that have a high level of emotional intelligence, those that are able to connect with people, typically are able to drive some incredible results. Because here's the thing, in life, you likely have something in common with everybody. So maybe you have varying beliefs around sports teams, politics, religion, all that other kind of stuff, but we all live in Texas. There's a common goal. We're all in the restaurant space. There's a common goal. A lot of us have kids. That's a common goal. A lot of us are happy the Astros won the World Series. I am, whatever it is, right? So there's things you can always identify with somebody. So I think you utilize that coupled with a high level of emotional intelligence. And what I mean by that is reading people and reading the room. So I can tell when I'm talking to one of my kids, if they're not getting it, that I need to either change course or stop, right? I can tell when I walk in the door within the first 30 seconds how my wife is feeling about whatever the case may be. It's usually good. But when it's not, I know. And I know how to read that, right? I know when I walk in a restaurant, okay, something feels off, something feels tense, something's weird, right? I can tell when talking to somebody what kind of day they're having by maybe the words they use, the look on their face, what they're wearing, what they're saying. And so I know when I can push and when I can pull. And the reason that's important is really a couple of things. One, it's the right thing to do as a human being. Let's be clear. But when you're leading a group towards a common goal, whatever that group is, you've got to know what they're capable of, what they're not capable of. There's folks that are my direct reports that I've worked with for 10 to 12 years. I can pick up the phone and say, hey, dude, this ain't working. You got to change course right now. They're like, cool, got it. They can do the same thing with me. I may not have that same level of somebody who's new to the team. And I also know that I can be a lot for people. And I know I've got to be cognizant of when to push or when to pull based on the situation. So going back to the pandemic, people were going through a lot of life at work. They're also going through a lot of life at home, right? I had a kid I was trying to teach on at home. That was incredibly difficult. My wife was, and we were cutting their hair in the garage. That's a lot more life than I expected. So yeah, it's going to impact life. So I've got to be mindful of that, which goes back to that empathy and accountability, right? Empathy probably took the front seat then, right? Well, when we got through it, now it's accountability. We got a business to run. So I think it's having that balance, but emotional intelligence helps land that plane. It helps understand when you can and can't push, because we're a business of people, not of robots.
Of course. Well, thank you so much, Tommy, for taking the time to speak to us and all of our students. As always, this will be recorded and shared to everybody in the next hour or so. So thank you, Tommy, and I'm sure we'll see you at the ProStart competition this coming March.
Yes, we're excited to see y'all. And if we can ever help, let us know. If you're ever interested in employment, our website is work@canes.com, CANES.com. We are always taking applications for all of our restaurants throughout the country and here in Texas. Our website is raisingcanes.com. We have all the social channels that everybody has to have. So all that's on there. So check that out. Thanks for your time today. Thanks for putting the faith into growing your career in the hospitality business. I will tell you, it is incredible. Haley and her team with TRA, I've had a privilege to work with, and they are just top notch. They have a lot of resources that people never even thought possible out there, but it's a great space. Love to have you join us in the journey. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day, and one love.
Bye, Tommy.
Bye, guys. See y'all. Thanks, everybody.